Those Mets. Last night, kind of a clunker for them. You drop it 5-2 to the Miami Marlins. Bassett was really good. Chris Bassett has been a hard luck loser too much this year for my taste. Went 6 1/3 last night, gave up only 2 runs. The offensive output was terrible, wasn't helped.
Abysmal.
Nimmo and Lindor hit home runs, but that's all she wrote. Overall, though, the Mets have been good this year. 52-32, first in the NL East, 2.5 games ahead of the red-hot Atlanta Braves. I'm here to say, relax. And I know that's very hard to say to Mets fans. I think they're used to this type of feeling where you get ahead of everything. You're like, all right, we're going to make it to October. It's all going to be great. This is the year to win a championship. And it just doesn't happen. There's always that one leak in the Mets metaphorical ship. I'm here to tell you, this is not that year. This is a different team. You're not dealing with Mickey Callaway. You're not dealing with Luis Rojas. You have a manager that knows what he's doing too. He'll get you to the end of the line. You just got to trust that within those peaks and valleys, kind of what we were talking about with the Yankees, that you're going to find a way.
Yeah, I mean, I had joked early on in the season, come on, look at the standings in the NL East. Not a single other team besides the Mets was even over 500. I kept saying, look, what's their competition? And now all of a sudden the Atlanta Braves come out of nowhere, and the Mets are still maintaining that top spot in the East, and they keep winning games. I know it hasn't been to the same level as earlier on in the season, but let's just be honest with ourselves here. The New York Mets are playing really good baseball. To your point, Bassett, good start last night. 2 runs is not like a lot. You know, your offense just has to show up. It's unfortunate that he was at the short end of the stick, but with good starting pitching, and again, we'll get to deGrom coming back at the end of July potentially. Again, he's been making some rehab starts in, is it single A, double A?
Single A, Port St.
still.
Lucie.
Yeah. So he's been making some starts, and he's been clocking in the high 90s. So he's going to be back pretty soon. So Mets fans are going to be glad about that. And with Max Scherzer already back, we kind of discussed before the possibility of potentially the best 1-2 starting pitcher punch. Starting pitcher punch. Say that 5 times fast. Starting pitcher punch in the Major League Baseball.
It's a tongue twister for sure. That offense last night was not good, but I want to push back a little bit on the overreaction. They just bashed the same Marlins team 10-0 a few nights earlier. Can we be real, though? The team is not supposed to be like the Yankees. I'm sorry. You're not like the Yankees. You're not going to hit a million home runs and slug your way to the World Series.
They're just not built that way.
They've proven to be built in such a way that you're playing small ball. This is what I was talking about earlier with Buck Showalter. He's definitely that type of manager where he wants you to get on base, if nothing else. If nothing else, just get some base runners. Mets are second in on-base percentage in baseball. I mean, you look at the guys on that roster. Mark Canha, slashing 277, 371, 383. He's the type of guy that will get you a base runner. Nothing else. Might not hit a home run, might not hit a double or a triple. He'll get you on base. He'll walk. It's like the old Moneyball thing. Does he get on base? I know. You saw me coming from a mile away there.
Yep.
Buck Showalter has instilled a by any means mentality into these guys. I look at that roster up and down. I just see a group that wants to win. Now, if you take that a certain way, yeah, there's going to be nights where the bats won't be there. You're not going to get base runners. That's just how baseball works. Baseball's always a crapshoot, especially a crapshoot in October. But last night was one of those evenings. Alonso didn't have it. He had chances with runners on, couldn't connect. Other guys like Eduardo Escobar had picked up the slack a little bit recently, but overall they still haven't been what they'd hoped for. I think Esky's a guy that is a great clubhouse force. Whether or not he stays consistent is a different issue. Jeff McNeil, one of my favorite Mets. He's a spark plug.
Oh, yeah.
The guy is just filthy, and he doesn't get nearly as much credit as he deserves. He's in the 94th percentile in K percentage. For our listeners at home, that means that the guy rarely strikes out. In a day and age where a lot of teams have adopted the strikeout or home run or walk mentality, to have a guy like Jeff McNeil that's such a throwback, that refuses to just strike out and whiff on everything, is a revelation. I compare him to Lenny Dykstra all the time. Lenny before the steroids, let's get that straight. Lenny with the Mets, not Lenny with the Phillies when he was trying to hit everything out. Lenny was the type of player where he'd get on, he'd be gritty, he'd make the hard slide, he'd do the things that you need to do to win a championship. Jeff McNeil's one of those players. This team is filled with those type of players offensively. So for Mets fans, let's all chill out for a minute. Like, let's calm down, relax. And you got an owner who, by the way, if that pitching, as we were talking about, Brij, if Scherzer and deGrom come back, which they will, and they're going to be good, but let's play devil's advocate. If they come back and it's a little shaky, you've got the owner, you've got the GM and Epler who will go out there and get what you need. They are not going to be like the coupons. This is not the old regime. This is the Steve Cohen era, and you should be set for a run this year.
Oh, and you have to love it if you're in Queens, if you're a Mets fan. Just the whole approach. I mean, of course, when you have deep pockets of a Steve Cohen, you're going to feel great as a fan, knowing that you're going to actually go out there and spend. And to your point, they're not built exactly like the Yankees. Yeah, they're stars. You have an Alonso, a Lindor. But then you have those guys that just fit the role that you exactly need. For example, you mentioned Escobar, a Canha, guys that get the job done. There might not be like a household name or a real star, but they complete like a winning team at the end of the day, and that's really all that matters. And to your point about McNeil, he really doesn't get enough credit. I mean, the guy's hitting 316. I mean, that's best average on their team, and he's the only guy hitting over 300 on the team.
Starts from that contact mentality. He's the type of player who just refuses to strike out.
Yeah.
I was at a game maybe 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
He gets visibly upset when he doesn't connect the way he wants to, or doesn't get the barrel on the ball.
It's the expectation.
It's great to see.
That's awesome.
I think there's something to be said about the differences between how the Mets and Yankees are constructed. I think the Yankees are very much constructed in that there's a lot of great individual players. The Mets are constructed to work as a cohesive unit. That's not a bad thing for either side. I just think it's different. You can't view the Mets as, they have Francisco Lindor. Well, guess what? If Francisco Lindor is on the Miami Marlins, the Marlins are still terrible. I'm sorry. He's not. If you put Aaron Judge in the Marlins, you might add a couple more wins.
Yeah.
That none of the Mets in and of themselves are going to make all the difference for a team outside of maybe deGrom and Scherzer. But of that lineup.
Good point.
Of that lineup, they're supposed to work together. So when it's not all clicking, you're going to have a little bit of a rough go. But when it's all working, and 9 times out of 10 this year it's worked because of the style they're playing, you're going to be okay. There was a tweet recently, right after Max Scherzer's comeback start. Tossed 6 innings. The Mets did not win the game. I think it was 1-0 the final. They couldn't score.
Yeah.
Anthony DeComo, one of the best beat reporters in the New York area, Mets beat guy for MLB, he said something to the effect of, if you're a Mets fan and you're getting overly emotional about the fact that the team couldn't score when Scherzer was pitching, man, are you missing the forest for the trees. And to that point, I would 100% agree. Look at the big picture. When all is said and done, you're going to have Jacob deGrom, Max Scherzer, and Chris Bassett as your 1, 2, 3 little rotation in a potential October series. That is better than what LA can throw at you right now.
Mm-hmm. I would be terrified going up against those 3.
And then you got to do it if you're Los Angeles or whoever else in Citi Field in October. I've been to Citi Field in October. It's Roman in there. Those people want to win. It has been a long time. They had to deal with the Wilpons, who I now call the coupons. Look at the amount of Mets fans and Knicks fans have endured so much pain with those pitchers in those conditions, and New York gets real cold here in October. You're going to have a hell of a time trying to win a game in Citi Field. Forget about a series. If you have home field advantage and you're the Mets, you feel wonderful about your chances.
Yeah, you just have to get there at this point. And again, it's still sort of your thing to lose. I mean, they're neck and neck with teams like the Dodgers right now. But the way that they're built, it's amazing. And again, you still wait for those pitchers to come back. But how about, Nimmo as a leadoff guy to set the tone? I mean, amazing. Marte. I mean, just everybody in that lineup plays such a key role. And I just love what you said about, you put any of those guys, even their stars, on a team like the Marlins, it's really not going to change much because of the whole team mentality here. Whereas, the Yankees are built more of, you have Judge, you have Stanton, you have guys that are more individualized. So, that's a good point. I like that.
We're talking about this lineup. I do want to bring up one guy who can carry this offense for stretches, not because he works himself on another team or carries another team, but for the Mets and what they do. He's proven in the past to be this type of player. It's Pete Alonso. He's the type of guy I look at. as an X factor, and he's going to have to step up. Last night was not good. His last 100 plate appearances, his weighted on base average has gone down. That's not what you want to see from Pete, because the biggest critique on him was that he could hit home runs. We know he's going to be bumping a Biggie Smalls when the home run derby comes, and there's no question about that. Polar Bear can hit him out, but he was starting to become the type of hitter that could just get on base, right? He'd take the bloop single. He'd get his walks. Now you're starting to see a little bit of that boomer bust mentality creep back into his mind. I think he's the type of guy that's going to have to really step up his game to another level if this team wants to keep moving forward, because he's in that middle of the order. He's hitting fourth, fifth, third on a day-in, day-out basis. He's got to make sure he cashes in when the bases are juiced.
Yeah, I mean, I trust a guy like Alonso to eventually change his approach at the plate slightly. It's better to figure this stuff out in the month of July than the month of October. And with so much baseball left to be played, I think Alonso, that whole boomer bust, yeah, I mean, he does lead the team in home runs and in RBIs, but I mean, that's just given. That's what happens when you do hit a lot of home runs. But yeah, his averages have dipped a little bit, and you just have to think, don't swing for the fences when you don't have to.
Mets fans certainly hoping he picks it up soon, gets him out of the schneid, so to speak.